Okay, good evening, students. Today we are going to start research aptitude, which is part of week 2 syllabus. This is very important because if you will see uh, largely your research aptitude syllabus, you can see what it is there: research meanings, type and characteristics, positivism and post-positivist approach to research, methods of research, experimental, descriptive, historical, qualitative and quantitative methods, steps of research, thesis and article writing, format and styles of referencing, applications of ICT in research, and research ethics. Right? So, uh, even though this section seems that it will be much easier, but sometimes because of lack of reading and lack of practice or awareness, I think students commit mistakes. This time also I have seen some people, they have committed mistakes over silly questions. So now our focus is, because when you are targeting JRF, your focus should be not to even if waste a single or miss a single question. Okay, so my honest advice will be that you also prepare very well this section, so that at least 5 questions which you will get in UGC NET paper 1, you should be able to crack it. So again, week 2 study plan will be 5 days, right? So day 1, today we will be discussing research meaning, types, characteristics, paradigms. Then day 2, research methods, experimental, descriptive, historical. Day 3, qualitative and quantitative methods. Day 4, research process and design. Day 5, thesis writing, ICT, ethics. Right? So today's focus will be research fundamentals, characteristics, classifications and paradigms. Right? So what is today's learning objective? By end of today's session, you will be able to define research and explain its purposes, list and explain 9 characteristics of good research, and classify research using 6 different criteria to understand research paradigms, positivism and post-positivism, compare and contrast different paradigms, apply this concept to UGC NET questions. So in together we will be having 52 slides with lot of examples, live examples and real examples. So if you are having any doubt, you just ask after the end of the session. Okay. So I hope I'm audible, right? Madhusunda, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, thanks. So now let's see. Let's start, okay? So what is research? Research, where this word is coming, the research, what is the etymology for research? It comes from the French word recherche, right? So basically, re means again, search is to seek or investigate, research is to search again, and it's a systematic investigation, right? And the simple definition is, research is a systematic inquiry to discover new knowledge or verify existing knowledge. I'll come to what exactly this means, right? Suppose, for example, when we are doing a research, whether we are discovering a new theory or we are verifying it. Suppose, for example, as all of you are from economics background, so I'll just tell you. Suppose, for example, you all have studied Keynesian theory of consumption, or it is known as absolute income hypothesis. Now, it's already a existing knowledge, but you want to verify it, whether the theory is working or not. So, to verify the theory, so it might be a new knowledge, you can give a theory, new theory, or you can verify the existing knowledge, right? So, what is important over here is the keywords you have to emphasize is systematic, organized, scientific, and knowledge creation. Suppose, for example, you are not systematic. How? From when you started, like for example, with the topic itself, if you are not very clear why I am doing that, then you cannot organize your the whole journey, the process, and you have to be very scientific. Okay, you should not have any biasness, and then only you can add to the existing stock of knowledge. I hope I am clear, but gradually we will see some more example. Let's try to explore what do you mean by definitions of research. So, Redman and Mori, 1923, they have defined research is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge, right? Then similarly, John W. Criswell, in 2008, he has defined research is a process of steps used to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. This is a very interesting definition, and it is more practical also, because he is saying research is a process of steps used to collect and analyze information, right? As I told you. So first you have to gather the information to increase our understanding of a topic or issue. Then Fred Kellinger, 1986, is trying to define research as a systematic, controlled, empirical, and critical investigation of hypothetical proposition about the presumed relation among the natural phenomena. Now, what is common among all these three, you can say, definitions? All of these three definitions, basically they are saying they are putting a lot of emphasis on systematic approach. It should be systematic approach. Let's try to explore further. Then next comes, what are the 6 main purposes of research? First one is exploration. It means to discover new areas of study, to generate ideas and hypotheses. Second, description. Please write the purposes. Exploration means discover new areas of study, generate ideas and hypotheses. Then description, to describe phenomena as they exist, document situations, events, behaviors. Explanation, to understand the causes of phenomena or to explain the relationship between the variables, right? Next, prediction, to forecast future outcomes, to anticipate events based on patterns, and to control, to manage and manipulate variables, to intervene effectively in situations, and theory building, to develop theoretical frameworks, to create model to explain phenomena. Remember, research serves multiple purposes simultaneously. So, you cannot just say that it will serve only one purpose, right? So, these are the 6 main purposes, and we'll discuss further. So, research versus common sense. Common sense, you will say, what we are observing, why we will be doing the same thing, or what is the big deal about research? I already know it. Common sense is casual, informal. Suppose Keynesian theory. You will say, already we know that people will not spend exactly with the same proportionate with respect to their increase in income. Then why I want to do research? It is a very common phenomenon. So, in common sense, it's actually personal experience. It's not verified. It's a subjective or biased, and it is a limited context. There is no specific method you have adopted. But in research, it's a systematic, formal, and there is empirical data, and it must be verifiable. Means other researcher will verify also. Objective, it is very objective in nature, it is unbiased, and it is broadly applicable, and it's scientific method. So that's the reason why we will differentiate research from the common sense ideas or just normal people what they think. So one example, very interesting example is given over here. Suppose the common sense is people are lazier nowadays. We say after the mobile, people are busy with the, let's say, that social media and all. So they are becoming lazy and lazy. Now, how you can prove this? You can do research. So it's a survey of, let's say, that 5,000 workers. If you do, then it will show average work hours decreased by 5% over 10 years due to technological efficiency. Okay, so this is something like some concrete statement which you have provided. You are saying that you have done an excellent survey of 5,000 workers where average work hours decreased by 5% over 10 years due to technological efficiency. Okay, so now what are the characteristics of good research? So it's like mnemonic to remember. So it's a SLARE of G. So you just see whether you are comfortable or you can have your own idea how to do it. SLARE is basically systematic, logical, empirical, replicable, objective. Characteristics. Then accurate and precise, then valid and reliable, ethical and generalizable. Okay, so today we will explore each characteristics in detail so that it will give you a very good foundation to you. Characteristics 1, it is systematic. Definition, what is the definition? Already we know that research follows an organized step-by-step procedure. Key points, not random or haphazard. It follows defined methodology, structured approach from start to finish, planned sequence of activities. Example, research process, like what are the research process? First is problem identification. Now, most of the students, when we start with the research topic, you don't know what is the problem, research problem. Now you have jumped in to do the dissertation directly. So that is the reason why literature review is not complete. Then hypothesis development, data collection, analysis and conclusion. Okay, so each step build on the previous one systematically. Now if you will see, 1 second, I want to show you something. Suppose if you will go to the Kothari book, so they have also done excellent introduction. So you just see there is a little in depth it is given over there. I want to show it because I want to really make you aware. So what is there? Define research problem. Then you will be doing the literature review. That is, you will be reviewing the concepts and theories. Then you will review the previous research findings. Means from where you will come to know? From the previous. First you will go to the theories. Then you will go to the research papers. Then you will formulate hypothesis and then design research means you will include how you are going to do the sampling design. Based on that, you are going to collect the data, that is the execution part, then analyze the data. In analyzing the data, it is like you are testing the hypothesis, then interpret and report. So you can see there are some arrows where it is like both way, means you might sometimes when you have to do it reversibly also. Okay, so F means feedback. Okay, help in controlling the subsystem to which it is transmitted. FF means feed forward. It serves the vital function of providing criteria for evaluation. Like F means single F means suppose if your report is not coming nicely, so then again you have to go back and see what went wrong. So like that. Okay. So this is excellent. I think Kothari book is a very good book for the research. So I think many of you are doing or pursuing your final semester, and even if so, please remember that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sometimes the question also comes the sequence of the research process. Okay, please remember this. So each step build on the previous one systematically. That is the reason why it is called systematic approach. Now you don't have the research problem. Now you want to do the literature review. How you will do it? It's not possible. Right? You cannot formulate the hypothesis. You cannot design the sampling design. You cannot do it. You cannot collect the data also appropriately. You don't know what are the different measurement scales. And then how you will analyze the data, or how you will interpret and write the report writing, because that is the very toughest part, right? Hence, so that is why it is known as systematic approach. Okay, each step will lead to, if you are doing religiously or very rigidly one step, then next step will be automatically done. You don't have to worry. Then next characteristics is logical. Okay, so research is based on valid reasoning and sound logic. So what are the key points? It uses inductive or deductive reasoning. Now the question is, what is inductive and what is deductive reasoning? Okay, method of induction and deduction, which we will be doing it. I think it will. I will just tell you there are very important words which are written over here. Okay, first word it is written logic. So basically, logic is a branch of philosophy which is dedicated to the study of reasoning. Okay, and it is systematic and rigorous nature has actually prompted many people to describe it as a science of reasoning. So logic is very important to understand. It is a science of reasoning, and reasoning is basically it's a process of knowing that we use for inferring what is not directly given. Okay, through reasoning only you can actually you can explore the truth or the process of knowing. So this is a process of knowing. Okay, so I think I have asked one logic session, then I think there we will be discussing in detail. Okay, so so research is based on valid reasoning and sound logic. That's why I gave you the definition of logic and what is reasoning, right? Because reasoning we are going to use, and if you don't know, so it will be very uh, difficult. So now what are the key points over here? So the conclusion follows logically from the evidence. No logical fallacies. Arguments are coherent and consistent. Suppose one example is given over here. If the data shows correlation between education and income, the conclusion states correlation, not causation, without proper experimental proof. So logical reasoning prevents jumping to unwarranted conclusions. Okay? Characteristics 3, empirical. Research is based on observation or experience, not pure speculation. So the key points are: it uses real world data, it is observable and measurable phenomena, it is evidence based approach, it is verifiable through senses or instruments. Suppose for example, testing hypothesis with actual experiments, surveys or observation rather than pure theoretical speculation. So economic theory must be supported by empirical data. Characteristics number 4, it should be replicable. Other researchers can repeat the study and verify the results. So what are the key points over here? Procedures clearly documented. Same method yields similar results. It allows verification by peers. It strengthens credibility of findings. So usually many good research papers, you will find they will give you the data and they will give you code also, software code also to verify their results. Okay. So for example, one example is given. Published methodology allows other researchers to conduct the same study and check if they get similar findings or not. So why it is so important? Replication is so important. It is a cornerstone of scientific method. If you have done a research and you got some good result and I want to verify it and I am not getting it, then what is the whole point of doing the research? That is why very good researchers, they always help to reproduce their tables or results. Next characteristic is objective. So research is free from personal bias and prejudice. So what do you mean by this? It means researchers' opinions don't influence findings. It is based on facts, not feelings. Impartial data collection and analysis, and it is neutral stance. So example, using standardized instruments, blind testing procedures, random assignment to reduce bias. So results should be same regardless of who conducts the research. So characteristics number 6, accurate and precise. So research minimizes errors in measurement and analysis. So the important distinction is accuracy means closeness to true value. What do you mean by accuracy? Precision means consistency of measurements. So both are essential for quality research. For example, using a calibrated instruments, proper sampling techniques and appropriate statistical methods, minimizing measurement error increases the confidence in results. That is the result. Now next is characteristics number 7. It should be valid and reliable. Validity means it measures what it claims to measure. Does the test measure intelligence or memory? Are we studying what we think? That is the validity. And when it comes to reliability, consistent results over time. Same test yields similar scores. Different raters give similar ratings. Then only it will be reliable. Example, A properly designed IQ test should have validity, actually measure intelligence, not just memory. Reliability, it should give you consistent score across administrations. Next is characteristics. Number 8, it should be ethical. Research respects human dignity and follows ethical guidelines. I think this time there was a question on research ethics. We'll be discussing that. So what are the key principles? Informed consent from the participants, confidentiality and privacy protection, no harm to subjects, that is physical or psychological, honest reporting of findings, no plagiarism or data fabrication. So suppose example, medical research must obtain informed consent, protect patient data and report all results honestly including negative findings. Right? Next characteristics number 9. It should be generalizable. It means findings apply beyond the specific sample studies. What are the key points? Results can be extended to a larger population. Conclusions transferable to similar context. Representative sampling increases generalizability. External validity is important. Suppose for example, you survey of 1,000 representative voters can predict election outcome for entire population if sample is properly selected. So good sampling ensures generalizability. This is very important. Now summary 9 characteristics. So it should be systematic, logical, empirical, replicable and objective, accurate and precise, valid and reliable, ethical and generalizable. So for UGC net, be ready to identify which characteristics is violated in given scenarios. Okay. Now, type of research. So, what is important to note over here, research can be classified in multiple ways. The same study can belong to several categories simultaneously. It is not, it's actually overlapping structure, not completely closed compartment structure, right? So there are 6 major classifications. First one is based on purpose, that is basic versus applied. Based on nature of data, that is quantitative versus qualitative. Based on time, that is cross-sectional versus longitudinal. Based on method, that is experimental versus non-experimental. Based on inquiry, that is descriptive versus analytical. Based on framework, that is empirical versus theoretical. Hence, these classifications you should understand, and also what you can understand is these categories or a particular study can belong to several categories simultaneously. Like for example, you can say, so if some study is quantitative, it can be also cross-sectional, it can be also longitudinal. Okay. So now first type, based on purpose, basic research versus applied research. So basic research, the purpose is to develop theory, to expand knowledge, to understand principles. And what are the characteristics? No immediate application, long-term focus and academic interest. But applied research, the purpose is to solve practical problem, immediate application and improve practices. Then the characteristics are practical utility, short-term focus, industry relevant. Now example, how does basic research will be, how does human memory work, right? Type 2, based on the nature of data. So there are 2 types of data. One is quantitative, second one is qualitative. So quantitative means The focus should be on the numbers, statistics, or numerical data, or large samples, or statistical analysis, objective, and it should test hypothesis. Answers will be like how many, how much. Okay, so you will ask this kind of questions. So the qualitative, the focus is word and meaning. It should be non-numerical data, small samples, thematic analysis, subjective, and it should explore the meanings. The answer is why and how. So example, quantitative research means survey of 1,000 students on study habits. Qualitative, in-depth interviews about unemployment. Right? So next is type 3, based on time dimension. This will be cross-sectional. The timing means 1 point in time. Snapshot approach, quick completion, less expensive, compare groups. Limitation, it cannot show changes, no clear cause and effect relationship. And in longitudinal, timing is multiple times. You can track changes. Long duration, more expensive, same group, and shows trends, better causality. Suppose example 2024 census data. So that is a cross-sectional data. But over there, if you will take multiple times, then it will be a longitudinal study. Next one is based on method. That is experimental versus non-experimental. So manipulation is the most important over here, right? So basically researcher controls. It has a control group. It should have random assignment. It establishes causation. There's a high internal validity. And in non-experimental, it will be based on the observation only, no manipulation, natural setting, existing condition. It shows correlation and better external validity. Suppose experimental research testing new teaching method with random groups. Non-experimental survey, research and observational studies. Then type 5, based on mode of inquiry, descriptive versus analytical. In descriptive, the purpose is to describe what exists, to report facts as they are. There is no manipulation. It uses surveys, observation. The answers are basically what, who, when, where. Analytical, the purpose is to analyze relationship. It uses existing information. Critical evaluation, it tests hypothesis. It answers why and how. So you can see the descriptive, like for example population demographic, market research, they are part of descriptive research. But in analytical, why did GDP fall? Factors causing poverty. So this kind of examples are there. So note basically what it is saying in the note, descriptive often provides data for the analytical research. Next, based on conceptual framework. Empirical, what is empirical? It should be based, the basis is evidence or experience. It should be data driven. Observable evidence. It should be testable hypothesis, scientific method, verifiable. So the process is data, analysis, conclusion. But theoretical, it should be based on the logic, reasoning, concept based, abstract reasoning, to build theories, philosophical. It should be philosophical. It should be followed by mathematical models. The process is like literature, then logic, then framework. Suppose one example is there, lab experiments and field surveys. That is empirical. Theoretical, economic model development. That is a theoretical research. Okay. So other important types, historical research. It studies past events using archival data and documents. Example, evolution of the Indian economic policy. That's historical research. Exploratory research. It investigates new or little known areas. It generates hypotheses. It's basically, the example is studying the impact of new technology. Then explanatory research. It explains why something happens. It establishes cause and effect. The example is basically, why do students drop out? This is explanatory research, right? Explain why something happens and it establishes cause and effect relationship. Similarly, evaluative research, it assess the effectiveness of programs or policies. Like for example, if you want to analyze the impact of MNREGA, right? So then you will be doing a evaluative research. Now, next is, what is a research paradigm? A research paradigm is a set of beliefs, assumptions, and practices that guide how research is conducted. It represents a worldview about ontology, what is real, nature of reality, epistemology, what can we know, or nature of knowledge. Nature of knowledge is known as epistemology, methodology. How do you study it? Research methods. Some of the origin is coming from Thomas Kuhn, who introduced the concept, the structure of scientific revolution. So there are two major paradigms in social science. One is positivism. Second one is post-positivism. Positivism, the background is what is the background and the time period. The founder is Auguste Comte. That is the period is 1798 to 1857. It is basically it is emerged in the 19th century. The dominance was, it was the dominant paradigm until mid 20th century. So the core belief is the social world can be studied using the same method as natural sciences. That is positivism, right? So basically it got influenced based on the natural sciences, physics, chemistry. The assumption is society operates by laws similar to natural laws. Then, what are the view of reality for positivism? Basically, the ontology is nature of reality. Reality is objective. It exists independently of observer. Reality is observable and measurable. Reality follows universal laws. It can discover absolute truth. One single reality that all can agree upon. Then analogy. Reality is like a fixed puzzle that exists independently of us. Through proper scientific methods, we can solve this puzzle completely and discover the absolute truth. So, positivism key principles. Researcher is neutral, is a detached observer. Personal values don't influence findings. Complete objectivity is possible and necessary. Empiricism, knowledge based on sensory experience. It is only observable phenomena are valid. It cannot study what cannot be measured. Third, it is determinism. The events have definite causes. It can establish certain cause and effect relationship. Natural laws govern all phenomena. Positivism, key principles part 2. Reductionism, basically complex phenomena can be reduced to similar parts. Study parts to understand the whole. Breakdown into measurable components. Universal laws, discoveries are generalizable everywhere. Laws apply across time and space. Context doesn't matter. Quantification, basically emphasis on measurement and numbers. Numerical data are preferred. Statistical analysis is central. So, in positivism, what are the research methods? So basically, the preferred methods are basically quantitative. Basically, the experiments means it will be conducted in a controlled condition. Manipulation, then only it will establish the causation. Second, surveys, large sample structured questionnaire, statistical analysis. Third, structured observation, predefined categories, systematic recording and quantifiable. Common techniques are hypothesis testing, statistical test, basically t-test, ANOVA regression, variable control and manipulation, and then replication studies. So these are basically different methods which can be followed. Now, what are the strength and limitation of positivism? Strength, scientific rigor is maintained, objective findings, replicable results, generalizable, clear methodology, and it is policy relevant. Then what are the limitations? It ignores human meanings, it oversimplifies reality, it cannot study subjective, detachment unrealistic, it misses context, limited on why. The main criticism is human behavior is not like natural phenomena because humans have consciousness, they can create meanings, and they are influenced by the context. Okay, so that is the main criticism of the positivism, right? Then post-positivism, the background basically it was who was the main thinker? It is emerged as the mid 20th century, right? The key thinker is Karl Popper. So nature is it is modified and refined positivism. It didn't completely reject it. The reason is response to limitation of strict positivism. The core belief is that we cannot be absolutely certain about our knowledge, but we can approach the truth through the rigorous search. So now it is one of the dominant paradigm in the social science. Then post-positivism, the view of reality. What is the ontology? Nature of reality. Reality exists objectively, but is imperfectly knowable. Observations are theory laden. Knowledge is always tentative and probabilistic. We can approach the truth, but never is absolute certainty. So now what is the key concept? All knowledge is provisional and subject to revision, and no absolute certainty is possible. So science progress through falsification. That was what given by the legendary philosopher or writer, that is Karl Popper. So what are the key principles of post-positivism? Critical realism is basically reality exists independently, but our understanding is always imperfect. Multiple perspectives help approach truth. Fallibilism is basically all knowledge is tentative. Findings can always be refuted. Today's theory may be disproven tomorrow. Modified objectivity. Perfect objectivity is impossible. Researchers have biases but can minimize bias through triangulation and transparency. So it's basically theory-laden observations. What we observe is influenced by our theories. No observation is completely theory neutral. Researcher's background shapes interpretation. Then next is methodological pluralism. Multiple methods are valuable. Both quantitative and qualitative methods are accepted. Mixed method preferred for fuller understanding. The context matter. Social phenomena are context dependent. Historical and cultural context are important. Generalization must be done with caution. So it embraces both quantitative as well as qualitative method. So quantitative method, there are experiments, surveys and questionnaire. There are statistical analysis will be there. But in qualitative methods, in-depth interviews, case studies, document analysis, and ethnography. So mixed method is basically it combined quantitative as well as qualitative to triangulation for validation. Now, post-positivism, strength and limitation. Strength, it is more realistic, it acknowledges complexity, flexible methodology, numbers plus meanings, it is context sensitive, self-critical. The limitation is less clear-cut or more subjective, harder to replicate, more time-consuming, it requires broad skills, it is less generalizable. Why it is dominant now? Because it balances scientific rigor with acknowledgement of human and social complexity. So this is the comparison of positivism versus post-positivism. Right? This is very interesting. Based on reality, knowledge, researcher, methods, focus, generalization, context, you can differentiate both these methods. So other research paradigms are interpretism, constructivism, critical theory and transformative. But for UGCNet, only focus on the positivism and post-positivism. So what you should remember, Auguste Comte, he was the founder of positivism, 19th century. Karl Popper, Thomas Kuhn, then John W. Criswell, then Fred Kellinger and Redman and Morey, right? So these are very important to remember. So now let's try to understand our quick practice, which is not a characteristics of research. 1B, subjective. Positivism was founded by whom? B. Okay, very good. Auguste Comte. Then post-positivism is characterized by fallibilism or research solving practical problem is applied basically. Okay, that is the applied research. So for tomorrow's class, what we will be doing is today's slides, you will be thoroughly reviewing it. Make your own example for each research type. Practice Slate, Web, G. Then practice exercise. List all 9 characteristics with examples. Classify research scenario in multiple ways. Right? Tomorrow, we will be focusing on more on the research method, that is experimental, descriptive and historic. So we'll stop over here.